We are live with our wonderful founders from FanFlex, Eric Nelson and John Perugini. And we're very excited to talk to them today because they have come up with yet another breakthrough for artists and songwriters and bands in the booking arena. And it's called FanFlex. So we're going to get into that and tell you all about what it does, why it's important, and why you need it. But first, I want to ask the guys to share a little bit about themselves and how they came together for this vision. So I'll let either one of you start. Eric, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having us, Beth. We love everything that you do and are excited to be here. John and I have actually been friends since college, which is now 20 years ago. While in college and from that point, I went into the live music industry as a production manager, talent logistics, and I've done just about every part of the industry when it comes to live.
And you have a little one coming up in January, right?
Yes, and so to this day, I still do some of the bigger events. It keeps my ear on the ground. It keeps me engaging with some of the top level talent. So I will be in Tampa for Super Bowl. You know, I've missed the Grammys the last couple of years because it's overlapped with Super Bowl. But for me, it allows me to look at what's going on the highest level and some of the tips and tricks that the best artists do in the industry and bring it to independent artists. And that's kind of been our philosophy with FanFlex. And taking all those experiences is really what made FanFlex come to be. So probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was at Coachella, John was at Coachella, and I was telling him about this idea that I had about a tour routing platform. Apps were just like starting to be the big thing. And I was explaining it to him like, hey, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be an easier way. And it was never a thing that would take out booking agents or take out managers. It was just, how do we make more money on the road? How do we become more efficient when traveling from LA to San Francisco? Where do we stop in the middle? You know, you have to drive up the coast. And so I started throwing out these ideas, and John heard the idea.
I'm a real estate developer by trade. Back then I had a couple of restaurants, one in Orange County and one in New York. And even though this started out as a tour routing app, it really came together for me as I saw a need for restaurants for one-off shows. You know, we're booking acts every night for our restaurants, and there wasn't a platform out there that really showed the show dates that were available to artists. So for me, it was something that could maximize my food and beverage while minimizing the time to search for an artist. You know, we're getting hit up with countless emails, phone calls every day. And this way just really just streamlined the whole process.
And a lot of times correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times with smaller clubs and venues, the owner is also the sound engineer and booking the talent and making sure that the wait staff is showing up and all of that. So it really does become kind of a nightmare for the venue too, right?
That's right. Especially, yeah, the smaller ones, you're absolutely right. Like I said, I had 2 back then. I've invested in quite a few other ones by now, but it was just every day. I mean, it'd be like 2 hours out of the manager's day trying to sort out the talent. And, you know, for me, like I said, coming from a restaurant background, for me, I saw it almost as like an open table for musicians, right? So instead of the tables, it's actually the stage times. And instead of the patrons, it's actually the artists looking for those stage times.
Well, you do so much in this platform. And, you know, I'm very privileged to have been involved in your journey, but I would love for you to tell our folks why it's such a cool thing and what the platform does and why it's so different, because this virtually allows people to be their own booking agents, doesn't it? With a whole lot of other bells and whistles.
Absolutely. And so kind of what John was describing right there and our overall direction, when we had this idea years ago and we started putting it to, pen to paper and coming up with it, it turned into a way that we could take empty inventory. So if that's open table, that was like, you know, restaurant tables. If it was kayak, it was hotel rooms or orbits on plane flights. And we realized that the empty inventory in the music business was time slots on stages. And we found this niche kind of underneath that, you know, national routing club that's booking, you know, regional and national acts. But there's all these independently owned small businesses that have live music on a nightly basis. And if you go anywhere in Nashville, anywhere in Austin, you get it. They're a restaurant. They have food. It's, you know, it's Joe's Barbecue, but there's a stage and there's music being booked every single hour of that day. And we realized that this is a tool for them. And there's musicians that can actually leverage that in a do-it-yourself platform, in a level of an artist that's kind of pre-agent. You know, once you have a booking agent and you're doing national tours, great, you know, good for you. And, you know, most of our artists are do-it-yourself managers even. We do have a lot of artists that have management. But again, this is a really do-it-yourself platform where you can take your own ambition and creative drive and actually put it to work and succeed on your own level. And we take down those roadblocks. We take down that pay-to-play system that exists across the country. And we take down those glass ceilings. You know,
and it's free for people. It's free for the artists and bands, right?
And it is free for artists, yes. So, you know, we charge venues, as John mentioned. It's such a time saver and cost saver, and it maximizes their food and beverage that they're happy to pay us subscriptions. So
can the artists also like sell their merch? Can they pre-sell tickets? How does all that work?
So there's plenty of merch platforms out there, and our platform is really just focused on getting you booked, getting you paid directly by your fans. So we're a direct fan-to-band payment platform. Think of Venmo, but we're like a third-party escrow account. So you get the show booked through our platform. Your fans buy the tickets through our fan-facing app, and all that money gets held until you play the show, and then it gets released, and you get 100% of the money. And the beauty of that process, especially for those independent artists that are playing live shows at cash covers or no cover type venues. Okay, sorry, there's a Zoom notice that popped up. You know, that's what we realized. So on the larger artists, the Lady Gagas of the world, Taylor Swift's, they have all this data. And the independent artist doesn't have that opportunity to capture who's actually walking through the door. So by sending your fans through our platform and through the app, then now you're capturing that information. Not only an email address and a demographic connection from Facebook or whatever, but more importantly, it's the dollars and cents. It's how many tickets did you sell on a Monday night? What was the ticket price? And you can start seeing in your career with the FanFlex data, maybe what's the best nights to play, what's the best value, you know? Maybe you sell out at $5 everywhere you go, it's $5, but then you go to 20 and no one comes. So maybe your price should be 10 to 15, you know, where is it? And
so it's predictive analysis for people. It's built into this so that for busy bands and busy performing songwriters that really don't have that skill set or the time to dive in and do that analysis and put it all together in a spreadsheet or something like that. You're doing that work for them, right?
Right, and it's also creating all these data points for venues as well when it comes for them to book the artists. You know, we might know that these artists play better or generate more revenue on Tuesdays and Thursdays than say another artist. So if I'm a venue and I'm looking to book an artist for that night, I might go with them. Also with the review system in place, the venue will be able to review these artists and let other venues know that, you know, they packed the house on Tuesday night, or, you know, maybe they didn't bring as many fans in, but the fans spent a lot of money on food and beverage. So
you want to make money, get these people.
So I always think of everything from the venue side, and with these data points, it really allows for just better booking.
But there's an ancillary benefit to all of this that a lot of bands and performing songwriters might not know, that being able to leverage this data, excuse me, they can then also go to their local sponsors or investors or other people that are trying to help support their career, or they want to support their career, that they can actually have something concrete and say, hey, look, I'm not just making this up. Here's what's actually happening on the road with our career, and that's why you should invest in us or sponsor us, right?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's been to a club where you walk in and you tell the venue or the bouncer or the cashier who you're there to see, and they do a little chicken scratch on a paper. And at the end of the night, they walk up to the artist and they're like, okay, here you go. These are all the people that came to see you. And that's just lost data. You know, with us, this is that you're creating a show history that is now yours. You can take to whoever you want. And, you know, all these people that came to see you on that Wednesday night at that coffee shop or whatever, this is just building and just more people to have in your arsenal as another data point to bring on in your future career.
And
So
on a, in a growth model. So we can take it from the very first artist who's played 0 shows ever, right? And we have places as small as coffee shops, and we have rooms as big as 1,000 cap rooms on our platform today. I think we have 127 venues now across 20 states. And as things reopen, it's going to provide a plethora of options. But it works at ground zero, right? And the beauty of that is maybe you're just a local act and you're playing once a month in your market, but you're doing 50 people consistently. That may get you a manager and go, hey, look it, you know what, maybe we can replicate this in another market, and it's how a lot of artists really, grow. Like you nail the market that you're in, and now you're like, okay, let's try this in the next city over.
So the spoken wheel method, because we talk about that in our bands course very much about how to grow and utilize that. But what you're saying is if you get the data, then you might be able to get somebody and hire them for their percentage to actually do that, right?
Yeah, it's all information that can be used. And the artist owns it. And, for us, it's an ethical.
They own their data. They own their data.
They own their data. And we don't sell that data to anyone, and we don't sell it back to the venue. It's more just data points that venues see. But they don't necessarily have the email address. That is the artist. So.
But that also might help them franchise or do something, it helps them from a revenue analysis, but it also helps them with their own features and benefits as it comes to entertainment, right? If they want to book somebody and they haven't had success in getting that particular person that plays the size of their venue, they can say, hey, look at all these people that we've been working with, right? So it's a predictive tool for them as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So
what other bells and whistles are in there for the artists? And I'm sure you have new things on the drawing board. Are there any you can talk about?
Yeah, so we're really excited for what we're calling our version 2.0 launch. As the pandemic, whenever that does end, I think that's our big focus, to release version 2.0 to the world. And on that, you're going to see a lot more data visualization. You're going to see a lot more predictive analytics and helping tools for artists. And again, as John kind of mentioned, it's ammunition when you're going to go talk to whatever that is, whether that's another talent buyer, whether that's a manager, whether that's a label. We're going to give you those data points in a visual, in a way that you could share that in a nice way, and in a way that the industry now trusts, because there's no trust in getting a bunch of pieces of paper. Let's say you brought 7 people or whatever, 25 people. We're now providing that Polestar tour history for every independent artist. And that's really exciting.
So this just sounds like it opens up a whole new horizon for people, especially when as we grow as an industry, as more and more people come into it. If I were starting out now, I would probably be very overwhelmed with all of this, what are the best clubs and, who's near me. So do you have a location system in there that they can go and see if clubs near them or in their region are on your platform, correct?
Correct. Yeah, if you go to venues.fanflex.com, you'll see all the venues. You can search by location, and then you can search by available date. And right now with COVID, most of the venues are TBD COVID. We have a couple that will be booking here soon in the Florida kind of area, as well as Tennessee. And then we have, we work with a lot of sound stages here in LA, so we love to give them just shout outs to be able to book a private, live stream. It's not really our business model, but, we've partnered with a lot of different, studios here in LA, and it's an opportunity for those Los Angeles artists to actually book a professional soundstage with production and actually, live stream that to their fans. And there's plenty of platforms that do that they can use.
Every state and every county is opening up at different times. So we're in close contact with the venues. They're reaching out to us as well to let us know as soon as they open up their stages and their doors. So, hopefully sooner rather than later, but we want to, start having shows in a way that's safe for everyone that's involved. As Eric mentioned, Florida is wide open right now. They lifted all restrictions. So, hopefully we'll have a show there in the next 2 weeks, but we're obviously going to be keeping a close eye on that and make sure that we don't see a rise in cases or people are doing it in a socially distanced fashion.
So since you guys are the first, do you anticipate some of the larger systems coming to you for guidance and direction? I'm talking about Live Nation and AAG have bought up everybody. Do you?
Well,
I didn't mean it to be a trick question. I just think they're jealous.
Yeah, they pay me. So when I do production management, so I don't want to take them out of the industry, but what we've always believed in is we operate under that level because it doesn't, for them, it's not worth the money to go and own up all these small little spots, maybe in different, high profile markets, you'll see it. But for them, they're 1,000+ capacity, type venue owners where they could have their 360 kind of packages where they could send them around the country. I own Coachella. I'm going to own a venue that fits Coachella acts nearby or out of the, radius clause and utilize that whole thing. If I own multiple festivals and multiple venues, I control that routing. For us, we believe that there's so many independent venues that operate outside of the Live Nation AEG, sphere. And even like the smaller, the Bowery and the different smaller kind of promoters that own maybe a handful of clubs in different parts of the country. I think we still operate underneath that radar as well.
Did you know Brooklyn Bowl just opened a venue in Nashville?
I saw that. Yeah, no, we saw that. And, I think it's exciting. And I think that, we've got some partnerships going, some conversations going with some of those smaller venues that are owned by bigger companies. And I think that what we're doing and what we've believed in and what we're teaching independent artists right now about, their own hustle. I think what you're doing with your platform really speaks volumes because I just read this article that, forgive me if it was AEG or Live Nation, the internet could go fact check me on this, but they're now going to be holding major acts, A-list acts accountable to ticket sales. So it's
the whole thing's changing, and I think you're kind of like a giant life preserver because all the major talent agencies have been cutting their agents in droves. And, typically what happens, it's not the big agents with the big acts, with the big, people who are playing the Super Bowl or playing huge shows. It's the people who are helping the baby acts develop. And now, what are those people are going to do? Because you're going to be sitting in the catbird seat when these the smaller clubs, the smaller venues, the regional things, that's what's going to open up first, I would think. And it's just a gold mine for indie artists to take advantage of using FanFlex. I mean, I'm prejudiced, but I do think that this is something we have never seen before, is that an indie band can get on your platform and say, we're not dead, we're not stopping, and we can go and find places to play safely and know that we're going to make money, know that our fans can see us, and they still have control, which is very important to most independent artists.
Yeah, I think it's also really this unique time frame. Some of the conversations that John's having with some of the bigger venues, these 1,000 cap rooms that are now talking to us, is because if you have a 25% capacity restriction due to COVID, you're now a 250 cap room, and our bread and butter is 300 cap and below. So now you're talking to FanFlex, and they're not booking the Rolling Stones for that, which they could, and then it's a $10,000 ticket. But their traditional acts that they're booking, are bigger than 250 cap rooms. And so if you want to keep it at a $20 type ticket, then you need an artist that's doing that kind of size, and those are our artists. So it's a great opportunity for musicians today that are independent, that are quote unquote, up and coming or smaller, to have their name on the marquee at these major venues, because
and you have like the Viper Room and all kinds of cool places.
Yeah, so like the Viper Room's like 165 capacity, but I think some of our bigger venues that we're now talking to, that you have 1,000 person capacity, these artists would never have their name on that marquee. They would, but not today, right? Because they can't fill 1,000 people. But because of capacity restrictions, they only need to fill 250, and touring acts aren't touring. This is a great opportunity for regional, local acts to be booking some bigger name venues that have high cap rooms, because they actually fit in them due to COVID restrictions. And the fact that there's this empty void with touring acts, and that's not coming back for a while. So now's the time as independent artists to hustle, grind, and do it. Be ready to play is kind of what we've been telling every artist that we talk to, is don't sit there and tell me that, oh, you know what, I'm recording an album, it'll be like 3 months, and then I'm going to come out and we're going to do a record release show. And like, no, be ready to go tomorrow. If it opens tomorrow, you better be ready to play, because this is your chance right now.
So I have a question to that point for John, because I think a lot of people are so focused, and we try to teach both sides in our courses about this. But John, share with us and our folks out there just a couple of tips, like what do the venues, what do the restaurants, what do they want from people, and how can you be the best person they've had in there so they will want you back?
Well, it depends on the venue. Depends on the restaurant. Usually, a restaurant's going to have a certain genre of music in mind. So we're going to be looking for any night. It could be from jazz. It could be from singer-songwriter. Maybe not death metal for a restaurant, right?
Probably not.
I'm sure there's a venue out there for that serves great dinner as well as a show.
Steak. Or shark.
With our version 2.0, the venues will be able to select what genre they want for that night, and artists will only be able to see the shows that are in their genre. We want a combination of good entertainment, but so many restaurants are always hit with, we're going to pay the artists, and then they're not going to bring anybody. They're just going to be playing background music and just, drinking the bar dry. So there's two sides to that coin, obviously. And we found out that a lot of our competitors only focus on the artist side, whereas for this to work, it has to be also a venue facing and venue beneficial platform. And that's what we've created.
So don't put 20 people on your guest list.
Well, you want someone that's actually giving a return for, you know, for your expense, right? You want them to actually be bringing some people in the door and putting some asses in those seats that are buying food and beverage and that aren't just getting drinks comped. And that's where the review system comes into place as well. So obviously, we're not there to say, you know, for me, an artist might not be like my cup of tea, but for somebody else it is. So we're not there to judge who's putting out the best art, because it's all good art, you know, it's in the eye of the beholder. But they want good entertainment and they want good return. So they want people in there buying food and beverage.
But what we also tell people, because we deal specifically, we have a whole separate segment on booking gigs, and, you know, be respectful, treat the sound engineer or whoever's running sound. They might not be an engineer. They might be like a college kid that they've hired, but treat them with the respect that you would like to be accorded, and just be a good person, right? And do things well, and things that will set you apart as a really, you know, it's a win-win situation for everybody, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that we're focusing on right now. Is during the pandemic, we've built an extremely, I'm proud of our summer internship program that's turned into.
They're fabulous.
Yeah, and it's a remote internship now because of COVID, but we have like a group of artist rep interns, and their job is to find music that they like and get on a Zoom call, chat. And what we realize is when things reopen, you know, we want to, if we're going to put that artist out there on the first time slot of this venue that's been struggling this whole time of the pandemic, like it's life or death for that venue to not book the right act musically, but book the right act that brings people, that's not going to trash the place, that, you know, like this is not just, you know, not sound dire about it, but it is life or death for the ecosystem of live music. And so we're really looking and not only vetting in terms of, which we've always done, vetted in terms of, are you a musician? Can you play? Are you not like this, you know, 14-year-old playing Guitar Hero and then all of a sudden you want to play a show? You know, we vet that. But more so right now during COVID, we've been vetting just the people. Like, are you going to be a good person up there? Are you going to, you know, work hard, promote your show, get up there, put on a good show? Because it's never had a bigger importance than now, you know. Venues don't have the opportunity to make a mistake, and neither does the artist per se, because, you know, we're coming out of COVID. Now's your chance to really do something good and to get out there and to play again, and to, you know, if you go out there and are a jerk, this was your one chance to go out and play again, and people are taking a risk to put you on stage, you're not going to come back. And so it's super important, and we've been vetting and just chatting through the people that sign up on our platform, because we want to help them because we believe in what they're doing and they believe in what we're doing. And that's a great kind of dynamic as we go through the whole, you know, the future of whatever the music business turns to be.
Well, I think it's given everybody an opportunity to sit back and reflect and reset, and hopefully all of us are doing what we can to improve that ecosystem. That's one of our motivations. But I could talk to you all day and all night, as you know, and I'm a talker. So we are so grateful for you sharing your wisdom, sharing the platform. Where do people go to sign? I do have one last question, but where should people go to find FanFlex? And what, if you're an artist, do you do once you get to fanflex.com?
Got it. Yeah. So just go to fanflex.com. There's tabs on the top that, you know, for artists, and then you go sign up. You'll get one of our artist reps actually reaching back out to you to say hi. Fill out your profile. There's not a whole lot going on right now because of COVID, but if you fill out your profile with your location and like your social media links, we can check you out, kind of get that kind of ball rolling, reach back out to you. And as things reopen in your area, we're going to be proactive and reach back out to you. So it's not just, you know, you checking to see, you know, we're doing that hard work for you. We're doing the, you know, as John mentioned, talking to the venues in Florida as they reopen, putting them on our platform, and then proactively going back to those artists from Florida, for instance, and going, hey, we're ready for you. Let's do it. So sign up on there. You can follow along. Our Instagram is @FanFlex. That's our artist-facing, kind of conversation. Everything that we post is really directed towards artists and the musicians that we have on our platform. It's a great way to just meet other musicians that are at that level and working together. So that's two of the ways to do it. And if you're a venue, there's a tab for venues as well to sign up, and you'll get a call from probably John and some of our venue reps as well.
So also artists out there, bands out there, talk to your local venues and clubs and tell them to get in touch with FanFlex too, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Those are like our true boots on the ground. I think one of the biggest things that we see on the bigger picture is FanFlex is not only an A&R tool for the entire industry, because we see who's actually selling from day one, right? They did 5 tickets, 10 tickets, 20 tickets, 100 tickets, 300 tickets. So I know before AEG knows with our platform. But also, for musicians as a whole, you guys are the ones that are, playing these restaurants. Where can you play? And for us, getting that information and sharing that information to everyone else, I think is super important for that community. Is, again, with COVID, keeping this ecosystem alive. You just can't play, Bridgestone Arena from local coffee shop. There needs to be everything in between. And that includes the 1,000 cap and up, for the AEGs and Live Nations, but it also includes everything below that. And it starts at the coffee, it starts at the singer-songwriter, writers round, it starts at those open mic nights, and it keeps on working its way up to those restaurants, those honky-tonks that have live music, to the more traditional venues like our Viper Rooms and whatnot, and then towards those bigger. And if any one of those tiers falls off because of the pandemic, because of whatever's happening, then I think the whole industry hurts creatively, but also financially.
That is so great. We are so grateful to you. I have one last question that I'm sure people will want to know, because they'll be checking you out and signing up and talking to their local folks to get a meeting with John. But where does the flying pig come from?
Okay, so the flying pig on the face level, it's anything's possible. When pigs fly, nothing's impossible, anything's possible. That's the very face level, and that's our philosophy. Our whole thing is destroying roadblocks. John mentioned earlier that, venues want people in the door. And what venues have done up until this day is they've done a pay-to-play system, where they put that financial burden on the artist. Well, that's messed up, right? And, we joke around that the other side of that coin is a venue pays and then prays they bring people, right? That doesn't really work either. So FanFlex is kind of like a prove it and play. Like, if you can bring the people on our platform, you've proven that you can do it, we can open up every door for you. And so the flying pig is that kind of philosophy of like, you can do it, anything's possible. And we're here to take down those roadblocks. Where it comes really specifically is when I was an intern, I was 21 years old. My dog's in the background now. I was 21 and I interned for Sony Music in New York City. And I was in the office of David Glue is where I interned. And my boss was his executive assistant for the most of the summer, was Denise. And when there was a big meeting with like Tommy Mottola and Paulie Anthony and all these big people, they had to kick me out because I was the intern. I'm like, get out of here. And I would go downstairs to Epic and sit in Harvey Leeds' office. And Harvey Leeds was the vice president of artist development. And he believed that, and this is from a label executive who's been in the business from day one, or a long time, that you need to play live, right? Like, don't come here and tell me this is the song that's going to be your single for your record. Have you played it live like a million times? Have you seen the crowd, bob their head? What is the vibe? How many different times have you played it in different ways? Is this the song? Is this recording that's going to be on the record. And until you play live a whole bunch, that record shouldn't be getting made. And I think a lot of times musicians, they make their record and then they go promote the record, which I get, right? There's that part of it. But you should be playing just like comedians that test, their material before they do it. They go to like this dive bar and they test some material jokes. Musicians need to be doing that every day also. Play it differently, play it acoustically, play it produced or not produced with, backing vocals, no back, like play it a million different ways and fine tune that, hone your craft. And that's what should go on your record. And Harvey believed this adamantly. And that's why you got all these great musicians coming out of Epic at the time he was in charge of that. And the pig is, if you've ever been to Harvey Leeds' office back when he was at Epic, so this is early 2000s, it was right after 9/11 is when I was an intern there. His office had flying pigs everywhere. Stuffed animals, things hanging from the ceiling. There were signs that said like when pigs fly, and it was just this vibe. And if you've been to the FanFlex office, we're recreating that whole entire vibe as well.
Love it.
Yeah, so, and then my mom, she goes to like garage sale, estate sales and all that stuff, and she finds pigs with wings. She's like, sends me a picture. She's like, you want this for the office? I'm like, yes, so, but that all comes from Harvey Leeds' mentality, and his advice to musicians was play live. And then on the topical level, the obvious level, it was anything's possible. So that's where the pig comes from. Pigs are pink. That's our color scheme. And it's cute, John and I joke like at South by we're gonna have a pig one day and we're gonna walk around South by, walking a pig and put some wings on it.
Well, you know what? I think what you have achieved and created with your vision and the platform and what you're doing for the independent music market and for songwriters and musicians everywhere is truly visionary. And it will impact, it already is impacting our industry and giving people a very, very high quality opportunity to make their dreams happen. And we can't thank you enough. We hope you'll come back and share once the new 2.0 version is up and going. We would love for you to come back and share that with our folks, but we're so grateful to FanFlex, and we love you and wish you all the best. I know you're both traveling, so safe travels, wear your mask, and all of us at Music Row 411, thank you so much for being a part of our inaugural Songwriter Learning Lab launch.
Thank you for having us, Beth.
Okay,
Beth,
bye.
Bye.
you have a great day.